Hey, Sarah here. I'm going to tell you a story, and about halfway through, you're going to think you know where it's going. You don't. Let's get into it. You can smell a renovation the way you can smell a lie. Fresh paint, sawdust, that sharp chemical tang that says someone has spent money they did not tell you about. Emily knew something was wrong before they even got to the music room. Her daughter, Lucy, climbed out of the car with her backpack and her music binder and her rosin tin. Light because the important part was already inside. The cello. It lived at Emily's parents' house in her grandmother's old music room. Lived being the key word she did not understand yet. Lucy had been looking forward to this all day. Not in a yay chores kind of way, in a this is mine kind of way. She had been humming under her breath in the car, tapping rhythms on her knees. Already halfway in that focused little world she disappears into when she plays, do you think Great-Grandma will be there today? Lucy asked, pulling her ponytail tighter like she could control the universe with elastic. She is at her place, Emily said. Not today. We will call her later. Lucy nodded, but her eyes stayed hopeful anyway, like maybe her great-grandmother had changed her mind overnight and come back to the house because she missed the smell of rosin and peppermint tea. They walked up to the front door. Emily had a key, not because she was especially trusted, but because she was useful. There is a difference. One gets you love, the other gets you access codes and errands. The second she opened the door, she heard it. A muffled whine of power tools somewhere in the background, and the smell. Definitely paint. Definitely money. Lucy's face lit up. Are they fixing the music room? Emily did not answer right away because her brain was still doing that slow buffering thing it does when reality does not match the script. They stepped inside. A tarp covered the hallway runner. Cardboard boxes lined the wall. Someone had taped off the entryway with blue painter's tape, which is a polite way of saying, do not touch anything. Lucy tiptoed like she was in a museum. Then she headed toward the back window. Whoa. Emily followed her gaze and felt her stomach drop. The backyard looked excavated, like the earth had been peeled open and rearranged. A big rectangle had been carved out where the grass used to be. Piles of dirt sat like small mountains. There were forms along the edges, rebar, stacks of pavers. It was not finished, but it was absolutely not subtle. A pool. A full-on in-ground pool. Because why quietly improve your life when you can broadcast it to the neighborhood with heavy machinery? Lucy blinked. Is that for us? There was so much hope in her voice that Emily actually hated everyone she was related to in that moment. I do not know, she said carefully. Let us get your cello. They walked down the hall toward the music room. It had always been her grandmother's territory, even when she lived with them. She had turned it into a little sanctuary, temperature controlled. Humidifier humming quietly, shelves with old sheet music. A lock on the cabinet because she was not born yesterday. Lucy loved it in there. She said it smelled like polish and peppermint tea. Emily said it smelled like someone who still believed in boundaries. She pushed open the door. The humidifier was still running. The stand was still there, the corner where the cello case always rested, where Lucy's cello rested like it belonged to her, was empty, not moved, not put away. Empty. Lucy did not scream. She did not even inhale. She just froze. Then she walked to the corner slowly, like she was approaching an animal that might bite. She looked down at the spot, looked up at the shelf, looked behind the chair like maybe it had fallen and no one had noticed for several days. Then she turned to Emily. Did Great-Grandma change her mind? Her voice was small and careful, like she was trying not to disturb the air. Emily's throat tightened. No, Lucy swallowed. Then where is it? She did not sound angry. That would have been easier. She sounded careful, like the question itself might get her in trouble. Her fingers drifted to the edge of the stand like she expected to feel the cello there. Wood. Warmth. something real. And when there was nothing, she pulled her hand back fast, like she had touched a hot stove. Her eyes got glossy, but she did not let anything fall. She just nodded once too hard, like she was forcing the moment to behave. Emily left Lucy in the music room because she needed her daughter not to see her face when she found out. She marched toward the kitchen. Her mother was there, of course. She was always in the kitchen when she wanted to look like she was holding the family together with her bare hands. She had a mug in one hand and her phone in the other. Her hair was pulled back like she had been busy, which in Emily's family usually means busy ignoring something. Her father, Thomas, sat at the table scrolling through something on his tablet, calm as a man who believes the world will always make room for him. Her sister Rachel was perched on a stool, sipping something green and expensive looking. She did not look up when Emily walked in. She barely ever did. "Where is Lucy's cello?" Emily asked. Her mother blinked slowly, like she was confused why Emily would bring up something inconvenient during her morning coffee. "Good morning to you too, Emily." Emily stared at her. Her father sighed. "What is the problem now?" "Lucy's cello," Emily repeated. "Where is it?" Rachel snorted without looking up. "Oh, please." Her mother took a sip of coffee. "Your father handled it." "Handled it?" That phrase is like a red flag printed in cursive. Handled it how? Her father finally looked up. "We sold it." The room went strangely quiet, like the house itself wanted to hear what happened next. "You sold it." "Yes." Her father said it like he was explaining taxes. "It was valuable. It was sitting there. Your grandmother was not even using it." "It was not hers," Emily said. "It was Lucy's." Rachel laughed. "She is 11. Her mother set her mug down with a soft clink. "Emily, do not start." "Do not start," Emily repeated. "You sold my daughter's cello." Her father leaned back. "It was a family asset." "No," Emily said, voice sharper now. "It was set aside for Lucy. My grandmother was clear about that." Rachel finally looked up, eyes bright with annoyance. "And my kids are what? Chopped liver?" Ben and Olivia were not even in the room, and somehow they were still the main characters. That was the pattern in this family. Rachel's children got everything. Lucy got whatever was left, which was usually nothing. Her mother waved a hand toward the backyard. "We are doing something nice for the children." Emily stared at her. "The children," she said again, like she expected a round of applause. "Ben and Olivia deserve space. They deserve, and Lucy does not." Her father rubbed his forehead, already tired of Emily being a person. "Lucy will be fine with the student cello. You can rent one. Plenty of kids do. Lucy will be fine." That was the family prayer. It meant we did what we wanted, and we are not dealing with your feelings. Emily could feel her hands shaking. She forced them still on the counter. "Where is it? Who did you sell it to?" Her father shrugged. "A collector, paid by wire, quick sale." Emily's mother's eyes sharpened. "And before you get any ideas, you are not telling your grandmother." Emily stared at her. "She does not need stress," her mother said, voice clipped. "She is settling in at her facility. Professionals are taking care of her. Let her have peace." "You mean let you have peace," Emily said. Her father's expression hardened. "Do not make this about you." Emily laughed once, sharp and humorless. "It is about my kid." Rachel leaned forward, voice sweet in that fake way that makes you want to check your wallet. "Emily, honestly, you are always acting like Lucy is some tragic orphan. She is fine. She has you." The way she said, "You made it sound like a punishment." Emily turned back toward the hall. Lucy was still in the music room, standing in the empty corner like she was waiting for someone to tell her she mattered. Emily walked back to her, knelt, took her hands. "We are going home." Lucy nodded without arguing. That was the worst part. She did not even fight. She just folded, like she had been trained for this. As they left, Emily's mother called after her, "Emily, do not call your grandmother. Do you hear me?" Emily did not answer, because she did hear her. She just did not care anymore. And that is when she knew she was going to tell her grandmother everything. That night, Lucy practiced on a battered student cello her teacher kept for emergencies. It sounded like a cardboard box with strings. Lucy did not complain. She adjusted her posture like she always did, focused, tried again. And every time the sound came out thin and wrong, she blinked hard like she was trying to hold something inside. Emily stood in the doorway pretending she was just casually watching, like this was normal, like her kid had not just been robbed. Lucy finally stopped and set the bow down. "I can still practice," she said. "Careful, it is just harder." "I know," Emily said. Lucy nodded and stared at her hands. Maybe great-grandma, maybe she did not mean for it to be mine yet. Something inside Emily went very still. Lucy had spent weeks at that music room with her great-grandmother, learning in a way Emily could not give her. Not because Emily did not love her, because love does not automatically come with talent. Her grandmother Margaret had it. Lucy had it too. It skipped Emily like the universe looked at her family and said, "Let us not put all the gifts in the same basket." Margaret used to sit beside Lucy and correct her grip with 2 fingers and a look. She would say things like, "Your left hand is talking too loudly," which made Lucy giggle, then fix it anyway. She praised her the way kids need praising. Specific and honest. Better. That was better. Not the empty kind. Not the kind that says good job while still checking your phone. Lucy felt seen with her, in a house where she usually had to shrink. Because that was the pattern. In Emily's parents' house, Ben and Olivia could shout, spill juice, run through hallways like tiny kings and queens. And it was adorable. It was kids being kids. It was they are so spirited. Rachel and her husband and the kids were living there too. One of those temporary arrangements that had lasted long enough to grow roots. Lucy was expected to be quiet, polite, grateful. If Lucy laughed too loudly, Emily's mother would say, inside voice, "Sweetheart," with a smile that did not reach her eyes. If Ben yelled, Emily's father would laugh and say he has got lungs on him. If Olivia demanded attention, Rachel would scoop her up like she was a celebrity. If Lucy needed anything at all, it was treated like an inconvenience. Lucy learned to take up less space the way other kids learn math. Margaret noticed. She did not always intervene. She was still Emily's mother's mother, and family politics are their own kind of landmine. But Margaret did something quieter. She carved out a space where Lucy did not have to apologize for existing. That space was the music room, and Margaret had been careful. Not just emotionally careful, paperwork careful. She had had the cello appraised, photographed, documented. She showed Emily the file once, not because she wanted to brag, because she wanted Emily to understand. "This is not just sentimental," she had said, tapping the page. "It is valuable. People get strange around valuable things." Emily had nodded, because yes, people got strange around valuable things. She just did not think people meant her parents. The next morning, Emily drove to Margaret's place, a bright, tidy apartment in an assisted independent living community that smelled like lemon cleaner and expensive hand soap. Margaret was in an armchair with a book in her lap, and her glasses perched on the end of her nose like she was about to judge the author personally. She looked up the second Emily walked in. "Sit. Your face is doing that thing." Emily sat down across from her. They did something. Margaret did not flinch. She just waited. So Emily told her. The missing cello. The pool excavation. The words her parents used. Family asset. Lucy will be fine. Do not tell Grandma. Margaret listened without interrupting. The way people do when they are collecting evidence. When Emily finished, Margaret closed her book slowly. And Lucy? She went quiet, Emily said. She asked if you changed your mind. Margaret's expression did not crumple. It hardened. Not into rage, into clarity. She thought it was her fault. Emily nodded. Margaret exhaled through her nose. One sharp breath. Then she asked, "When did you last see the file?" "What file?" "The cello documentation. Appraisal, photographs, identifiers." "I saw it months ago," Emily said. "You showed me." "Good." She leaned forward slightly. "Emily, do you have any texts about the pool? Any pictures? Anything that shows the renovation started right after I moved?" "I can screenshot Rachel's posts." Because of course Rachel had posted. Rachel could post her own funeral if the lighting was good. Margaret nodded. "Do that." Then she reached for her phone. "I am going to make a call." Emily stared at her. "Grandma, are you okay?" "I am not the one who should be worried." 6 weeks passed. Lucy practiced on the rental cello every day. It was not awful, but it was not hers. The sound did not bloom the same way. Lucy adjusted anyway, because Lucy was the kind of kid who adapted even when she should not have to. The worst part was that she did not complain. She just got quieter. Meanwhile, Emily's parents posted pictures of construction progress like they had personally invented concrete. Rachel posted Olivia holding a tiny inflatable flamingo, Ben wearing goggles. Captions like "making memories" and "worth every penny." No apology, no mention of the cello, just smiling faces and a giant hole in the ground. Then the invite landed in the family group chat. Barbecue, Saturday 2 p.m., pool reveal. Bring a side if you were coming. No hope you can make it, no miss you, just logistics. Because in Emily's family, feelings are optional, but potato salad is mandatory. Emily's grandmother called the next morning. "We are going." "Grandma, what are you doing?" "I am doing what I should have done earlier. Saturday was hot. Perfect pool weather. Perfect look how great we are doing weather." Lucy wore her swimsuit under her clothes because she is 11, and hope is stubborn. When they pulled up to the house, cars lined the street. The backyard looked like a brochure. Blue water shimmered under the sun. The stone deck was spotless. String lights on the pergola. Ben was already in the pool, splashing like a tiny shark. Olivia sat on a float with sunglasses on. Because of course she did. Rachel was holding a drink and laughing loudly. Emily's mother stood near the grill with that "I am the matriarch" posture she practiced in mirrors. Then the gate clicked. Margaret walked in. She was not in a wheelchair. She did not look frail. She wore a crisp blouse and slacks and a calm expression that made the air feel colder even in the heat. Beside her was Andrew, her lawyer, carrying a slim folder. The backyard went quiet. Emily's mother went pale. Her father's smile froze. Rachel's mouth opened slightly, then closed. Margaret stepped forward, eyes sweeping over the pool like she was assessing a poorly done paint job. "Well," she said pleasantly, "you have been busy." Emily's mother forced a laugh. "Mom, this is a party." "I know," Margaret said. "That is why I came." She looked at Emily, then at Lucy. Lucy straightened a little, like her spine recognized safety. "I heard you sold the cello," Margaret said. Emily's mother's lips pressed together. "We did not want to upset you." Margaret held up a hand. "You did not want consequences." Emily's father cleared his throat. "Let us talk about this privately." Margaret smiled, and it was not a warm smile. "Oh, Thomas, you have had plenty of private time." She turned slightly so everyone could hear. "I will not keep you long. I know you are here to swim." Then she looked straight at Emily's parents and said calmly, "The cello was held in trust for Lucy." The silence that followed was so sharp it felt like glass. Emily's mother blinked. "What?" "I am the trustee," Margaret continued, voice even. "Lucy is the beneficiary. That cello was not a family asset. It was not yours to sell. Emily's father stared at her like she had started speaking another language. Rachel's face flushed. You cannot. Margaret's eyes flicked to Rachel. I can. Andrew stepped forward quietly and opened the folder. Margaret did not look at him. She did not need to. She kept her gaze on Emily's parents. I documented that instrument, she said. Appraisal, photographs, serial identifiers, insurance, the works. Because I have been alive a long time and I have met people. She paused. Apparently, I am related to some of them. Emily's mother's voice shook. We did not know anything about a trust. Margaret nodded. Correct. You did not. Emily's father finally found his voice. Where is it? Margaret's smile returned. Safe? Lucy's head snapped up. Margaret looked at her. It was recovered this morning after Andrew made a few calls and filed the report. Lucy's breath caught. Not a sob, not a scream. Just a small sound like relief trying to escape. Margaret turned back to Emily's parents. You sold something you did not own. You took the money and you put it into, she gestured lazily at the pool. This. Rachel snapped. It is for the kids. Margaret's gaze sharpened. Lucy is a kid. Andrew cleared his throat gently. He stepped toward Emily's parents and Rachel. I have documents for you. He held out the papers like a waiter offering a check no one wants to see. Notice to vacate. 60 days. Emily's mother stared at the papers like they were poisonous. Emily's father's face went from pale to gray. Rachel's voice went shrill. You are kicking us out? Margaret tilted her head. You are acting surprised. That is the part I do not understand. Emily's mother's hands shook. Mom, you cannot do this. This is my home. It is the house you live in, Margaret said. The difference in those sentences was a cliff. Emily's father's voice cracked. We improved the property. Margaret's eyes narrowed slightly. You improved your comfort with stolen money in a house you do not even own, Lucy whispered. Mom. Emily looked down. Her eyes were wet, but she was not crying. She was holding it in the way kids do when they do not want to make adults uncomfortable. Emily squeezed her shoulder. Then she looked at her parents, at Rachel, at the pool, at the way they had built something shiny for Ben and Olivia and expected Lucy to clap for it. And she said, not loudly but clearly enough that anyone listening could hear, Lucy is not second to your family. Her mother's face twisted. Emily? No, Emily said. I am not doing this today. Margaret took a step toward Lucy. Her voice softened. Sweetheart, you did not lose it. It was taken. Lucy's lip trembled. I thought I did something wrong. Margaret's eyes flashed with anger so quick it was almost invisible. You did nothing wrong, and that was it. Not yelling, not a meltdown, just a line drawn in permanent ink. Lucy got her cello back. It arrived the next day in a hard case that looked like it had traveled through several hands and regretted all of them. Margaret opened it with Lucy like it was a ceremony. Lucy ran her fingers over the wood like she was touching something alive. She did not say much. She just hugged Margaret so tightly that Margaret closed her eyes for a second. Like she was letting herself feel it now that the danger had passed. Emily's parents discovered a fun fact about selling something you do not own. People want their money back. The buyer came after them the way you would expect. Angry, embarrassed, and not interested in the we did not know routine. The words repayment plan entered their vocabulary like a disease. 60 days went faster than they expected. Margaret did not move. They packed up and moved into something smaller, something cheaper, something that did not have a pool. Rachel suddenly remembered how to distance herself when consequences showed up. 1 minute it was we all agreed. The next it was I told you this was a bad idea. Lucy adjusted too, but in a different way. She started speaking up more. Small things at first. Actually, I was sitting there. I do not like that joke. No, I am not okay with that. Margaret put the house into a trust. Protected. Clean, Emily and Lucy moved in. The first night they slept there, the house sounded different. No construction. No performative laughter. No heavy footsteps pacing like ownership. Just quiet. The kind that feels earned. Then Margaret moved back in. This time for real. Not as someone being taken care of. Not as an inconvenience managed in a spare room. As the person who belonged there, Lucy helped her unpack like it was a celebration. She carried sweaters and books and that little tin of peppermint tea, like each one was a vote for the future. And then, like it was the most natural thing in the world, Margaret sat in the living room while Lucy practiced. No shrine of silence, no inside voice, sweetheart. Just music filling a house that finally knew who it was for. When spring came, Lucy auditioned for the regional youth orchestra and got in. But this time she had her instrument and something else. Proof. Proof that when someone tried to take her future and build a pool with it, the adults who mattered did not tell her to swallow it. They showed up. They told the truth. And they made sure she never had to apologize for wanting a place at the table. So what do you think? Did the grandmother go too far or not far enough? Tell me in the comments. And if you want more stories like this one, subscribe. I will see you in the next one.